Is this true, Da Vinci? Ritsuka asked. Yes, Ritsuka. From what we're seeing right now, a new singularity has just appeared out of nowhere, Da Vinci replied as she showed Ritsuka and Mashu the new singularity on the screen. When did this appear, Da Vinci? Mashu asked. Well, here's the thing. It just showed up today. And suddenly too. Is that so? Do you have any information about this new singularity? Ritsuka asked. At the moment, we only have a few bits about it. All we know is that the setting takes place in the modern world and it is currently overrun by unknown enemies that we don't know. Which is why I have a mission for both you and Mashu. I want you two to go into the singularity and see what the situation is going on. Once you two finish your scouting of the area, return to a ley line and you'll receive some help later. Got it. Are you ready, Mashu? Ritsuka said to Mashu. I'm ready, senpai, Mashu replied. Great. Now, all that's left is for you two to stand on the altar now to ray-shift both of you to the location itself, Da Vinci said. Ritsuka and Mashu then followed Da Vinci's orders and went up to the altar. Okay. Ray-shifting in 3, 2, 1. In an instant, the altar started to glow around Ritsuka and Mashu. Within a few seconds, Ritsuka and Mashu then disappeared from Chaldea. Well, good luck you two, Da Vinci thought. Ritsuka opened his eyes to see where Da Vinci ray-shifted him and Mashu at. He let out a sigh as this time, the ray-shifting did not send him in the air unlike the last time and multiple times that have before. Well, this time we landed on the ground safely. Thanks Shirou for fixing the altar to make the summoning less painful and doesn't involve free-falling. Senpai. Where should we go? Mashu asked as they checked their surroundings. Right now, they were in a forest of sort. For now, let's get out of the forest and see if there's any civilization out there, Ritsuka replied. Mashu nodded in reply and followed where Ritsuka was going in the forest. Eventually, Ritsuka and Mashu finally got out of the forest and when they did, they saw a city in front of them. While the city was normal, there was a huge building over there that made it stand out. Okay, there's a city over there, so we can go over there to see if there's any information that we can use to find out what happened here, Ritsuka thought. However, when they arrived at the city, what they saw in them shocked them. Because inside the city was multiple bean plushies that were moving around the area. Senpai. Are you seeing what I am seeing? Mashu asked. Unless if you're seeing something other than moving bean plushies in the air, then yes, Ritsuka replied as he was in shock over what he was seeing. However, their conversation was cut short when one of the bean plushies went for Ritsuka. Senpai. Mashu exclaimed as she went in front of Ritsuka, activating her shield. The bean plushie flew back upon hitting the shield, falling to the ground. Mashu then lowered her shield to see what the attacker looked like. As she did, both Ritsuka and Mashu were surprised upon seeing a better look at what the bean plushie looked like. Because the bean plushie looked a lot like Shirou. It had his facial features, although a bit simplified, and it was wearing his old high school uniform as an outfit. Senpai. This bean plushie is? Mashu asked. Yeah. This bean plushie definitely looks a lot like Shirou, Ritsuka replied as he examined it a lot closer. The eyes, the hair, heck, it even has the uniform he wore during his time when he was alive. Yeah. What should we do? Well, let's head back for a bit and set up our location. Now that we made contact here with one of them, it shouldn't be long before the others come after us. Good idea. We should also tell Da Vinci of our situation here. Ritsuka and Mashu then went back to the forest they were before and set up camp there. As they did, Ritsuka then contacted Da Vinci. Da Vinci? It's me, he said on the communicator on his watch. Hey Ritsuka. Did you find the source of the singularity? Da Vinci asked. Yeah. And you're not going to believe what we found. He muttered. Da Vinci was in the summoning room, waiting for the people she called to arrive. Eventually, the people she called over came into the room. Ah, good that all of you can come here. Shirou, Emiya, and Emiya altar, Da Vinci said. Yeah. Anyways, why did you call of us here, Da Vinci? Emiya asked. Yeah. What seems to be the problem? Shirou asked. Well, remember that new singularity that popped up earlier? Yeah. What about it? Emiya altar asked. Well, just take a look at what I'm about to show you. Shirou, Emiya, and Emiya altar were confused with what Da Vinci was saying. However, when she showed the image on the screen, they were all surprised at what she had shown them. It was an image of the multiple Shirou bean plushies that Ritsuka and Mashu encountered. Da Vinci, are those? Shirou muttered in shock upon seeing the bean plushies. Yes, Shirou. These are bean plushies of you occupying the city Ritsuka and Mashu were in, Da Vinci replied. For a moment, Shirou, Emiya, and Emiya altar were silent upon hearing Da Vinci's words. Then Emiya decided to speak out. What the heck? Why are there a bunch of bean plushies of my younger self occupying a city? This doesn't even make sense. And plus, how is it that they're moving in the first place? Emiya yelled. That, I do not know. However, from what Ritsuka and Mashu told me earlier, this may be the cause of all of those bean plushies, Da Vinci replied as she brought out another image. This time, it was the image of the giant building that was shown in the city. Is that building the cause of all of those bean plushies? Emiya altar asked Da Vinci. We can assume so. Anyways, we need you three to go to where Ritsuka and Mashu are and support them. Okay, Shirou said. Got it, Emiya said. Yeah. Emiya altar said. Shirou, Emiya, and Emiya altar then went on the summoning altar. As they did, Da Vinci then activated the teleportation device. Okay. Ray shifting in 3, 2, 1, now. And in an instant, Shirou, Emiya, and Emiya altar ray shifted to where Ritsuka and Mashu were. Shirou, Emiya, and Emiya altar opened their eyes as they landed at the location where Ritsuka and Mashu were setting camp up. Master? Shirou said. HM? Oh, hey Shirou. Emiya. Emiya altar. I take it that Da Vinci sent all of you here? Ritsuka asked. Yeah, Emiya replied. Great. Hopefully this time there won't be any problems this time. HM? Problems? What do you mean by that? Emiya altar asked. Well, it's kind of a long story, Shirou-san, Emiya-san, Emiya altar-san, Mashu said as she was readying herself for battle. What happened earlier? What? Da Vinci didn't tell you? Ritsuka asked. Shirou, Emiya, and Emiya altar shook their heads in response. Well, guess I'll have to explain it then. You see, before you even arrived here, or rather, Da Vinci called you here. Da Vinci called Arturia and her counterparts to help me and Mashu fix the singularity here. And do you want to know what happened? Shirou, Emiya, and Emiya altar looked at Ritsuka curiously. Upon seeing images of the bean plushies of Shirou, they immediately fainted. Shirou, Emiya, and Emiya altar's eyes widened upon hearing that. No way, they said in unison. Yeah. And that's not the end of it. You mean Shirou said, but was cut off by Ritsuka. Yes. Ishtar and her counterparts, Parvati, Bibi and her sisters, Ilya and her counterparts, Miyu, Astrea, Irisville, Jaguarman, Nero and her counterparts, Jeanne d'Arc and her counterparts, Okita and her counterpart, and Musashi came nearby, saw the images, and then passed out too. Ritsuka replied with a sigh. Shirou, Emiya, and Emiya were quiet upon hearing the information directly from Ritsuka's mouth. "You okay, guys?" he asked. "Why yeah," Shirou said. "Yeah, master," Emiya said. "Yeah. Nothing to worry about," Emiya Alter said. "I see. Anyways, we're ready here, so let's go." Soon Ritsuka, Mashu, Shirou, Emiya, and Emiya Alter went into the city infested with Shirou bean plushies. As they did, the group went up to fight against the bean plushies, and Shirou, Emiya, and Emiya Alter had various thoughts upon fighting them. After all, the enemy they have to fight against are bean plushies of Shirou that can move around. Okay, I have never seen an enemy like this before. First of all, who actually created bean plushies of me? And how are they moving? I swear, I can smell magic coming from them, Shirou thought. You have got to be kidding me. I have faced many enemies before, but this? This is something that I have never seen and fought before. And who in the right mind would create something like this? Emiya thought. What the heck? This is not what I was expecting to fight against today. Monsters and demons are one thing, but being plushies of my younger self? That's something you don't see every day. Just who is the idiot that created something like this? Emiya Alter thought. This many bean plushies of Shirou-san, who created them? And why? Mashu thought. Geez, just what kind of singularity is this? This is nothing like the ones from before. Well, to be fair, the enemies that I usually fight are not this cute and fluffy, Ritsuka thought. Eventually, Ritsuka, Mashu, Shirou, Emiya, and Emiya Alter were done fighting with the Shirou bean plushies in the area. Alright then. Where shall we go, master? Shirou asked. Isn't it obvious? We're going to storm into that giant building over there, Ritsuka replied as he pointed at the giant building in the distance. That building? You mean the source for all of the bean plushies comes from there? Emiya asked. I think so. Earlier, I felt a slight surge of magic coming from that building. I'm sure that the bean plushies came from that building, Mashu replied. Great. All we need to do is to destroy that building and everything will return to normal, Emiya Alter said. Yeah. Anyways, let's go, Ritsuka explained. Soon, Shirou, Emiya Alter, Ritsuka, and Mashu eventually arrived at the building. As they did, Shirou looked at the title of the building. It said Elsrich Industries. Shirou was confused upon looking at the title of the building. Elsrich Industries? I never heard of this company before. Pretty sure this is the reason behind the bean plushies of me. Although the name Elsrich, why does that sound familiar? Shirou? Ritsuka said, snapping Shirou out of his thoughts. HM? It's nothing. Anyways, let's head in, Shirou replied. Soon, Shirou, Emiya Alter, Ritsuka, and Mashu headed into the building. As they did, they were ambushed with more bean plushies. Incoming! Shirou yelled. In an instant, Shirou, Emiya Alter brought out Concho and Bakuya, slashing, shooting in Emiya Alter's case, any bean plushie that was coming towards Ritsuka and Mashu. As they continued fighting inside the building, Shirou picked up a faint trace of magic. Ritsuka. I'm feeling some magic below us. It's probably where the bean plushies are being created. You think so? Yeah. Great. Let's hurry then. Shirou, Emiya Alter, Ritsuka, and Mashu then quickly beaten all of the bean plushies in the room they were in and then went downstairs to see what was creating the bean plushies. As they did, what they saw completely surprised them, especially Shirou, Emiya, and Emiya Alter. It was a giant Shirou bean plushie, and it was wearing a crown. Oh my! Mashu said. Oh, you got to be kidding me. Shirou muttered. What the heck is that? Emiya yelled. No. It can't be. Emiya Alter said. Well, judging by what we're looking at right now, what's right in front of us right now is a giant-sized bean plushie of Shirou, wearing a crown, Ritsuka said. Everyone was dumbfounded upon what Ritsuka said. However, the silence was shattered when the giant Shirou bean plushie started projecting plastic swords and started throwing at them, making Shirou, Emiya Alter, Ritsuka, and Mashu dodge in surprise. What the heck? This plushie can use projection, they all thought in unison. Shirou, Emiya, and Emiya Alter landed in one corner of the room while Ritsuka and Mashu landed in another corner. Okay, so apparently, that giant bean plushie can use projection, Shirou said. Isn't that obvious? You saw what he did. Emiya snarked at Shirou for stating the obvious. Yeah. Although it can only project plastic swords, so that's a relief, Emiya Alter said. Yeah. Still, we can't let our guard down, Mashu said. Mashu's right. Everyone! Attack that giant plushie! Ritsuka said. Soon, everyone in the room started attacking the giant Shirou bean plushie. However, the giant bean plushie soon started projecting more plastic swords and started throwing at them. Mashu went in front of Ritsuka and brought out her shield to protect him from the thrown plastic swords. Meanwhile, Shirou, Emiya, and Emiya Alter were deflecting the plastic swords. You know, this is something I did not expect to see here, Shirou suddenly said. You're telling me. This feels like a dream, if I can even dream that is, Emiya replied. Me neither. Anyways, let's stop chatting and start killing that giant plushie. Emiya Alter said. At that moment, Shirou and Emiya agreed with what Emiya Alter said and began their counterattack. They then lunged forward towards the giant plushie. Shirou and Emiya started projecting multiple projections of Kancho and Bakuya and started to throw them at the giant plushie, while Emiya Alter used his version of Kancho and Bakuya to shoot at the giant plushie. The projections of Shirou and Emiya's Kancho and Bakuya alongside the gunshots Emiya Alter did hit the giant plushie, weakening it greatly. It was then that Shirou and Emiya brought out their black bows along with the twisted black sword, one for each. They then propped the sword onto their bows and assumed in a shooting pose. Meanwhile, Emiya Alter began charging his guns. Go into the red plains, fronting. Shirou and Emiya yelled in unison as they shot the swords at the giant plushie while Emiya Alter fire a charged shot. As the twin huntings and the charged shot flew in the air, they hit the giant Shirou plushie. Did that do it? Mashu asked. I hope so, Ritsuka replied. To their relief, the giant plushie of Shirou stopped moving, allowing everyone to release a sigh of relief. However, in an act of surprise, the plushie then exploded in a cartoon-like way, releasing a bunch of confetti in the room they were in. Everyone was surprised to see something like this happen. Did that just happen? Shirou asked in disbelief. Yeah. That plushie just blew up in the most ridiculous way possible, Emiya said. Wow. Did not expect that to happen, Emiya Alter said. You can say that again. That explosion looked like the ones from cartoons. Mashu said. And it looked so cute too. Yeah. Anyways, it looks like there are no more Shirou Bean plushies coming out right now, so it's safe to guess that we have completed this singularity, Ritsuka said. Seems like it. Shall we head back, Master? Shirou asked. Yeah. Shirou, Emiya alter, Ritsuka, and Mashu then left the building and headed back to where Ritsuka and Mashu set up their location to teleport back to Chaldea. During the walk back, Shirou had one thought on his mind. Elsrich Industries, why does the name Elsrich sound so familiar? It rings a bell, although I don't know how or why. Meanwhile, in the kaleidoscope. Ha 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 ha. I knew this was going to be a hilarious show. Zelrich said with laughter as he watched the events of the Singularity from a TV. Seriously, who would have ever known that the Shirou Bean plushie I created and forgot many years ago would end up creating a singularity like this? And using my name as an anagram for a company? That's rich. Zelrich then grabbed a bag of chips nearby and started to eat them as he continued to watch the show. Now then, what will young Emiya Shirou show me next when he gets back to Chaldea, especially since he's so fun to mess with?